Hello, welcome to Innovative Health Podcast. I'm your host, Kristen Wolosinovich, and here with my beautiful co-host, Joe McAllister.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm amazing. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much, and you look amazing, and I'm really super excited. You know, I love when women are in the studio, but what do we really love? Handsome men, don't we, Joe?
Absolutely.
So without further ado, it's my honor and privilege to introduce my friend for many years, criminal defense attorney. Not that I've needed him. I have. Michael Manley. Hello, Mr. Manley.
Well, hello, ladies. I am so honored to be here, and I've been called a lot of things the last 2 weeks, but not handsome. But thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, that's what we're here for. Anytime you need to feel good about yourself,
Yes.
We'll sit you down at the podcast.
I may be a regular.
We're okay with that.
But we are, and I'm so excited you're here because we did a story on you in the last Innovative Health, and it got a lot of attention talking about the health of our current judicial system. And you've been a lawyer. How long have you been a lawyer?
Been a lawyer 28 years, and been practicing in Flint for 28 years.
He started when he was 10.
I was going to say you're 35, so it's very bizarre. You were a prodigy, right? But that's a long time. And where did you grow up?
I grew up in Flint, born and raised in Flint, went to Flint Public Schools, and then transferred to Powers,
Okay.
where I played sports and got a great education. So I got great education at both, but I'm Flint through and through. I believe in its people, I believe in its comeback, and I've decided to devote my life to helping people.
We talk a lot of times to whether it is NBA players or people who've had major success that grew up in Flint and have left, and they come back to give to a city who's given so much to them. Is that kind of how you feel?
Absolutely. I've been a lot of different places, but there is something about Flint people, the values, the way we stick with each other. We have each other's back. Just the way we were brought up. And I think those values transcend in so many success stories. And so it's real important, and it's important to come back and give back.
It's important that
Okay.
you don't forget where you come from, too.
Exactly.
And how did you get into criminal law?
When I came, I was a graduate of the University of Detroit Law School, and I was going to work in Detroit, and I decided to come back to Flint and start my own practice with my brother. And I tried many different things. And I did a little bit of civil work. I did a little bit of divorce, which I would never do again. That's the worst. And I did a
sure.
lot of criminal cases. And when you start getting a little bit of success in criminal cases, the public decides what type of lawyer you are. You can hang out a shingle and say, I'm going to be a personal injury lawyer. I'm going to be a criminal lawyer. I'm a corporate lawyer. But the public decides what type of lawyer you are by hiring you.
Wonderful.
And all of a sudden, I just kept getting hired for the same types of cases over and over. And
Wow, I
pretty
never knew
much,
that.
yeah, pretty much I'm a criminal law specialist now and been doing it for 28 years.
That's fabulous.
Why not divorce, just out
Yeah.
of curiosity?
Oh, my Lord. Well, nobody's happy. Nobody
Nobody.
wins. Everybody comes out poorer than they were.
Yes.
And it's just a very
Depressing.
emotional thing. And it is depressing. And
Been there.
nobody wishes that upon anybody.
Okay.
And you pay your lawyers a lot of money, and you end up getting what you probably would have gotten if you just would have sat down quietly
Yes.
and resolved the property settlement. But it was just too emotional for me.
Well, and you have been a criminal lawyer for some time, but one thing that I will brag to Joe about you is you are so passionate about people. So it doesn't matter what they're going through. We're all going through things. But when people sit down with you, there's just a comfort there because I don't know if maybe it's your demeanor or how calm you are, but I think truly you resonate with people because you sincerely care.
Well, you can't judge. And I think that's the first thing that you have to learn when you're going to do criminal defense work is you cannot judge the person in front of you. I look in the mirror every day. I find fault. I see fault every day. So who am I to judge somebody else? Plus, I'm not a guy that likes to look in the rearview mirror and dwell.
Right.
Okay, and I
Keep
try to
moving.
Yeah,
Yep, I'm a firm believer of that.
right. And I always use the analogy that when you're driving down the road, you got the windshield in front of you, and you're looking forward, and you're driving forward. very rarely do you look in the rear view mirror, but you have to. And I tell my clients, you have to look in the rear view mirror behind you to remember what happened, those
Right.
bad things,
And
learning
learn.
from your mistakes.
Self-evaluate.
Right,
and
but you
be
have
honest
to
with
move
yourself.
forward. And I always tell people, you took one step back. If you take 10 steps forward, at the end of the day, you're 9 steps ahead. So we want to
I
move
love
forward.
that.
Yeah.
I love that. You could almost be like a psychiatrist or like a therapist
Well-
because you've been very therapeutical today.
It's, back off. He's mine, Joe. Back off. Well, what I do believe is you represent the cornucopia of hope, and they come and sit down with you, and then they come from. It could be a lifestyle or a family situation or an environment that hasn't always fostered positivity. So to sit down with you and give that hope that they probably never had
very
or
refreshing.
processed, it's exciting. And you mentioned, Joe, right? We're excited to announce the Manly Laws podcast that will be coming soon to Apple, iTunes. It will be everywhere.
Everywhere.
So that's really exciting for you to be able to. We're giving you to the public.
Well, I'm very excited about it, and I thank you and your staff here at Innovative Health for giving me the nudge and the fire under the behind to get
Well,
moving on it.
You've had the fire.
yeah.
We're honored and privileged to work with you, to
Yes,
be honest.
for
So
sure.
it's going to be great.
Yeah,
And
and
you're
I'm looking forward to it and talking about issues and getting people on with different points of view, not talking at people.
I love
I
that.
think we like to legislate morality now. I think we like to judge people. Everybody's got an opinion, and there always has to be a winner and a loser. And I don't want my show to be that way. I want my show to be a nice exchange of ideas. I followed your show through your career. You've always allowed people to have a exchange of ideas, and I think it's real important.
Very.
Well, I think in our current political society, and you're seeing it in social media and you're seeing it everywhere, is there's this massive polarized view. And you and I have had this conversation is people are really disliking each other and we're not having healthy conversation. And that's what you want to have. I may not agree with you, but I'm going to respect you and let you have your point.
Yeah.
And the judging and the bullying come hand in hand too. When people judge, then they get to the point where they're bullying. Then at that time,
Absolutely.
and that's never going to be a good outcome.
See, I
It's not healthy.
negotiate. I negotiate every day. And in negotiations, you can never have a winner and a loser. Otherwise, you're never going to have a successful
Ever.
negotiation.
Yep.
And that's just like a relationship or communication. You can't have a winner and a loser, and that's the way politics are on both parties. Somebody has to win and somebody has to lose, and you have to lose by a landslide, and we're going to crush our opponent. And I couldn't do that in criminal law because I have to deal with the prosecutor, the police,
Right.
victims, and what you want to do is come with a solution.
Right.
Yes.
And not everybody gets everything they want, but when we have solutions, it's much, much better. There's respect, there's honor, those types of things. And I think we've lost our way in American politics with the respect, the honor, and having different views and
unfortunate.
being able to accept that and have those discussions that are healthy.
We're really excited to launch that. That show's going to be
Yes.
amazing. So thank you. Real quickly, because we're going to talk about the current health of our judicial system, okay? And we're going to talk, because you've been doing this for some time. So during your article, you had talked about in the 90s, correct? Tell us a little bit, because now we're looking at the ballot and you've seen this paradigm shift in a lot of issues, even like marijuana, alcohol, drug convictions. What have you seen probably within the past decade or 2 decades?
Well, it was mostly the drug cases in the 1990s when I first started. It started with the Reagan administration and Nancy Reagan saying no to
Just
drugs.
say no.
Just say no. And it became a political thing where politicians ran on I'm tough on crime. So we had a lot of people at that time in this area with crack cocaine,
Yes.
powdered cocaine, but that was the main drug of choice at that time. They would hire special prosecutors, add more police, and politicians won on I'm tough on crime. And so the ballot measures were to make sentencing more
Stringent.
extreme,
Yes.
and to build more prisons. So we spent our money building more prisons and warehousing people that had drug problems, and it basically
Instead of helping
it
them.
bankrupted Michigan, or very close to bankrupted Michigan financially, and in my opinion, morally, to do that to our fellow citizens who had
Absolutely.
substance abuse problems.
Well, when did they discovered it, right? When they started looking at the line items around 2005, 6, when the bubble hit and, everyone was losing their jobs and their homes. And they sat down and looked at these dollar amounts, and they couldn't give dollars to education for our youth because they were housing these prisoners.
when
Yeah.
they should have rehabilitated them.
Right.
They put them in prison.
Now, we had
instead.
mandatory minimums if you had over 650 grams, which is less than a kilo of cocaine, which is a large amount, but that was mandatory life in prison without parole, just like a first-degree murderer. And then people were getting mandatory 20-year sentences, things to that effect. And crack cocaine, which was prevalent in the African-American community, you'd get 20 years.
Wow.
And powdered cocaine, which was prevalent in the suburbia white community, you'd get 20 months.
Wow.
And so there
that
was
is
a
Wow.
disparate,
crazy. I never
yeah,
knew.
in sentencing, which has been rectified, but the damage has been done. And the health of our criminal justice system is getting better, and we are not giving those basketball score type sentences that we used to on drug cases. And I always say there's a place for everybody in our justice system. There's prison for people who deserve prison, who are dangerous, who
Because
shouldn't.
you've seen them.
Right.
I've
You've
seen
met
them.
them.
Oh,
They belong
and,
there.
and they belong there. They deserve the right to a fair trial, but they belong there.
Right.
They cannot live amongst society. Then there are other places for people that are in the criminal justice system: drug rehabilitation, mental health,
That's exactly right.
domestic violence counseling.
And they just need the tools
Absolutely.
to go on with their lives and be the best version of themselves that they can be and live in society instead of just being locked up or locked away because
That doesn't solve that.
no.
And that's why we can't wait for Manly's Law, because you will be tackling a lot of these topics. And you are looking now at these specific courts and these judges that are handling girls' court, drug court, these respective topics, and handling these people in a manner, because a lot of times they're self-medicating. So
Absolutely.
these drugs are self-medication because there's some root cause, correct?
Absolutely. We got a mental health court, a veterans court
I love
with
that.
our veterans coming back, a sobriety court, a drug court, and basically instead of kicking somebody while they're down like we used to do and sending them to prison,
Being tough on
Tough 'em
crime.
up.
yeah, we pick them up.
We fix 'em.
We
I love
extend
it.
our hand and we pick
Can I
them up
high
off
five
the
you?
ground. Yes.
High five. This is amazing. That's exactly
But they have
right.
to want to help themselves too.
They do. There's a carrot and a stick approach, because if you don't follow through, there is some punishment. And
You got to put that in place.
you
And
have
some of
to
these
put it in
people
place.
need and want that discipline too.
Absolutely.
They need those boundaries. And
You're
they
exactly right.
thrive on it.
And I think by the time they get to your office and we talk about your beautiful assistant, Julie, how long has she been with you?
Julie's been with me for 28 years, and we've added a high-priced, high-prized free agent in Lindsay.
Yay.
We're loving Lindsay,
Yes.
and she's probably one of the big reasons Manly Law is getting launched. Thank you, Lindsay. But thank you to Julie. And I think, too, Julie also has that beautiful demeanor, because by the time they do hit Mike Manley's office, there's a massive sense of panic.
Oh,
Well, right now, people are calling my office, and I'm not there. So Julie and Lindsay are
Handling it.
that first
Yeah.
line of communication,
Right.
first line of help for people that are struggling, that are in a panic.
That's right.
And both of them are like social workers,
That's exactly
psychologists.
right.
So
And
they're
it-
very soothing.
And a lot of times it's a family member, right? It'll be a family member because, they may be in the jail or can't get a hold of you. And it is soothing because you are amazing. And Julie and Lindsay will attest to that. But to have them be the gatekeeper and help, that's amazing.
I would never
You're very
be,
lucky.
Never be where I was, where I am, where I'm going to be without my staff. They are absolutely wonderful. And client after client after client tell me how wonderful they were when they were going through their toughest times.
so hats off to you then, because you hired them. So
Well,
that's
I
very
hired
important to hire the
you.
right person. And 28 years later,
Yeah.
she must love what she does because that's That's amazing.
She is amazing, and they watch over me too. So
That's great.
they help me evolve as well.
It's no easy task day in and day out. It's no easy task. It really isn't. So a big kudos to you. And we're so excited for you because you've been a lawyer for so long, but to take your education and your knowledge and your advice and now kind of thrust it into the public because we need it. I mean, we're looking at an opioid epidemic, right?
Yes.
That is nothing we've ever seen before, and it does not discriminate. It is hitting all demographics, and you're probably seeing it on a daily basis.
I am seeing some beautiful people from beautiful families die.
Yes.
And it's crushing to be part of that and not be able to get them the help that they need in time. But then we're also seeing beautiful people from beautiful families with wonderful success stories as well.
Yes.
And it's a battle every day. It's taken criminal law in a different direction.
For sure.
You are not just working with the court system now. You are working in the health system.
That's exactly
Right.
right.
And it's very transcendent, and it's coming together. And we have to work together.
We have to fix it. And real quickly, I know you have a question. I get so passionate, excited
know.
with Mike Manley in the hot seat. I've had discussions with executives in healthcare and with physicians, and I think what has happened is when they were prescribing these meds, you know, with the thought that it's assisting in pain management. So whether it's like your Vicodins or your oxycodones or Norcos, I just didn't think they had a clue of what the addiction side was how it was going to play out.
Right.
I really don't think they planned on this.
Well, and I think that too, you know, you think of cocaine. So you think years ago, cocaine is a drug of choice, all the issues there. And that's an actual, if you will, drug, like a drug on
legal
the
drug.
streets, a legal
Right.
drug.
Like
right?
how you
But now you think
perceive
of
it.
opioids, and then you're being prescribed these medications by your physician. So now it's not illegal. Now it's like, you know, I'm supposed to be on this drug, or I can have this drug. And then it, you know, just changes altogether when people are buying it on the streets now. People don't need it. You know, not just their physicians are given a prescription for it, but now they're buying it at school or wherever. And it's really become such a problem. And it's sad, like you said, to see all these people, you know, mothers, daughters, fathers who get caught up in it. And it's hard to get back. I'm going to admit, I've had a friend who's been there, and thank God she is okay now and has a wonderful job, but it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy.
We all have friends, family members. It knows no boundaries. But again, going back to politicizing and legislating morality, Big Pharma has a big hand in putting out and marketing these drugs.
Yes.
And I have told a lot of people, and this in no way disparages physicians, but there are some out there, some of the biggest drug dealers that we have in town wear white jackets.
Right,
Yes.
right.
And
That
you
counts.
can't go get a tooth pulled and get 30 Vicodin. That's really not something that is going to help people in the long run.
That's exactly
Exactly.
right. That's exactly right. We will make sure Lindsay puts that on the topic list for Manly's Law because it is huge, and there has got to be. It has to be
Discussions
fixed.
about it, yeah.
It has to be fixed. It has to. So, well, what's the future for Michael Manley? What's been going on?
Well, we just got done doing a jury trial in Lapeer, and there was a not guilty verdict. So somebody exercised their right to trial, and we presented the evidence in front of 12 people, and 12 people said not guilty. So
Wow.
that is good. We've got some major trials coming up, but I like to resolve cases. I like to come to consensus. I like to come to solutions. And my best work nobody ever knows about. I walk by people on the streets all the time, and they wave to me. I represented them maybe 20 years ago, and they'll give me a thumbs up. Things are going well. I got a hug from a lady that I had no idea who she was. This was
But
about
how amazing is
yeah,
this?
6
Yes.
months ago, and she was the victim
Oh, wow.
of domestic violence. And when you come into my office, you've been charged with domestic violence, you have to start with Julie and Lindsay.
Right.
So they put you through the ringer right at the beginning.
Right.
But we focus on reuniting families
Yes.
and solving that problem.
Yeah.
So we will get our clients involved in domestic violence counseling. A lot of times it's substance abuse related
Right.
or mental health related. And we will get them going
Yes.
on that right away. And this lady came up to me and she said that her husband had not had a drink since that incident, that her husband had been gainfully employed, and they just had their first child graduate from college.
I love that.
Oh,
So when
You're
you get a
changing lives.
when
Yes.
you get a hug like that,
Yeah.
it is rewarding.
It is.
And,
It is.
all the names that people call you and the things.
and
you
again,
read.
judging.
Well,
judging.
and real quickly, we'll talk about that because, we will launch your podcast. We're so thrilled about that. Your cases have made national news. You've been featured on Dateline. You've been featured on Dr. Phil. You are no stranger to the national public. So people have asked you, how do you defend these people? Right?
Yeah, that's a big question is how can you defend those people?
Right.
And it's funny because I usually get the person that asked me that question in my office for either themselves or somebody from their family. And then
Eventually.
eventually they come and then
And
they,
then they
Yeah.
say, oh,
they can't believe how unfair the system is
Right.
and how people aren't giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Exactly.
So again, it's sometimes there's a little hypocrisy with all of us. And I think that if you look at anybody's family or close friends, we all can say we know somebody who's
Yes.
been there, whether
That's
it's
right.
addiction, mental health, substance abuse, those types of things.
We're all human
And-
beings.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make mistakes.
And Lindsay and I were talking today. We're starting to become the lawyer to the addicted. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
If we can help, and criminal law is changing in that way, it's got such a negative connotation, criminal law.
Right.
But we are really changing lives and very excited about it, and it
How
is very rewarding.
Yes, I'm sure.
we love you, Mike Manley.
Yes, we do.
Will you come back on the show?
Absolutely, only if you come back on my show.
Yes.
All right? Both of you.
Awesome.
That's
Yes.
an open invite right there.
Thank
We'll
you.
continue
Honored.
the conversation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael Manley. Changing lives. You are really incredible. And please, viewers and listeners, look for Manley's Law coming to a podcast very soon. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ladies.
you.
It was wonderful.
Thank you. You have been watching and listening to Innovative Health Podcast.